Welcome to another edition of Conversations with the Experts. It's a pleasure today to be talking with Patsy Doerr, part of the core team at 11 Canterbury. Patsy's had a wealth of experience in a variety of companies, including Credit Suisse and Thomson Reuters. Typically in HR, she's led DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in those companies, talent identification, and now helping us in 11 Canterbury, and we're very happy to have her part of the organization. What we want to talk about today, Patsy, is interim and fractional work. Um, I'll give you my sort of take on what I think this is, and then see if I'm right. So, I think of interim executive as someone who's kind of working full time, but on a project of perhaps limited duration or covering a specific time frame and time need. So, somebody's on leave for 3 months as they're getting maybe a medical situation resolved, or you have a new project and you want someone like that. Whereas fractional is more working sort of part-time, but on an ongoing basis. So instead of hiring a chief marketing officer full-time, you hire someone who is doing the role of a CMO, but 1 or 2 or 3 days a week. So that's sort of my high level understanding or low level understanding of it. Am I, am I right?
I think so. First of all, thank you for having me again on these conversations. I always enjoy having these conversations with you about important topics. And I think this is a very timely, important topic. So, yes, I would agree. I think the way a lot of people, having said that, a lot of people interchange interim and fractional. And actually, to your point, they are quite different as the interim is really sitting in role for a period of time in a full-time capacity, but in a consulting capacity, whereas the fractional is more multifaceted and more part of the portfolio career that people are beginning to develop more of these days, so that it ends up being you might have a couple different fractional roles going on, as you said. So I think your definitions are pretty much spot on as to how I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, so why would people want to do this? I mean, both the company wanting to take this approach and the and the individual, and I assume this is a bit different as well, perhaps from sort of consulting work where a little bit, I think there may be a little bit of an overlap. So, but I think the main thing is you know, why do people do it?
Yeah, so from the perspective of the people who are doing it, and then I'm happy to share why I think the businesses are doing it or the
I
companies
think, yeah, I think both.
Okay. Well, I think from the individual perspective, and I myself doing similar work like that today, find it fascinating and interesting because you have the opportunity to work with a variety of different clients, right? And a variety of different projects for a period of time. So it gives you that variety of learning experience and exposure that you wouldn't necessarily have in a full-time one role that you're in for X number of years. And so there's the opportunity to learn a lot more, to be exposed to more, to meet different people, and also not to necessarily be fully committed to one organization for the long term. I think from the business's perspective and the company's perspective, there's a variety of reasons as well. Number one, it's less of a commitment, right? A company may not be certain that they want to commit to a particular area of focus. Maybe it's diversity and inclusion, maybe it's ESG or otherwise, whatever the topic may be. They may not be ready to commit fully from a budgetary perspective for the long term. It's easier to get consulting dollars than FTE, full-time equivalent positions in an organization. I know that from experience. So that's another driving factor. I think market conditions also play a role. And I also think I've seen a lot of organizations bring in fractional or interim executives when they're interested in doing a particular project that is time bound, right? That has a start and a finish will complete, and then they can move onward to the next thing. So I see those are the primary driving factors. And I would add finally another one, and particularly in the United States this year, although globally as well, the geopolitical environment drives a lot of that decision making as well. I saw many organizations less interested in committing to long term roles, not knowing exactly what the economy is going to look like, the political environment, et cetera. So those are some of the drivers from the company's perspective.
Yeah, I would think you might also have it from the person's perspective. I like the what you've said about getting a diversity of experiences in a variety of industries. It's interesting to me. Sometimes you end up with even the same words meaning different things in different companies based on their culture. In one company I was working at, a tariff-based system meant this is a fair way to allocate to the operating companies based on how much they used it,
Mhm.
whereas the same thing in another company meant this was a tax imposed from headquarters, right? And we all hate it. So it means completely different things. Is there a particular industry that people, you know, go to and that utilize this, or is it sort of general across the board?
In my experience and observation, it's pretty much industry agnostic. I do see that a variety of industries are going down this pathway much more than they used to. And I think post COVID as well, we have many more people who are interested in these types of opportunities as well. And given all of the factors associated with going back to work or remote working, this also provides an easier, more fungible solution for both the individual and the company. And I've seen it across all industries.
So all industries. I mean, I do think COVID maybe changed things, but I think if you kind of take a look at the history, I look at my dad, 48 years in Delta Airlines. Um, I changed every 5 to 6 years, and now I look at my children who are doing what you've said, kind of a portfolio of activities. You can almost think of themselves as their own LLC, finding new positions that utilize what they've done in new ways. They don't really kind of want to do the same thing that they just did.
Right. I could see that. And similar, my dad was at Shell Oil for 35 to 40 years, and it's very different now, right? I see that happening. I do think that people also really, in my observation and wearing my HR hat and experience for a moment as well, is that people are not only looking for flexibility, but I think people are looking for optionality, right? So it may not be that they necessarily want to work from home all the time, but they want to have the option to have that type of flexibility. And it may look, and it does look very different for each individual. And I think that factor also plays an important role in terms of decision making on behalf of the individuals making these choices as well.
Well, that's really interesting. I think there's lots more we can talk about on this, but right now, thank you very much. We may follow up with a webinar on the subject because it's really timely and interesting. Thank you again.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.